The sky above Meridian turned black at noon. Millions of faces looked up as the sun disappeared behind something massive. Children stopped playing. Workers froze mid-step. The entire planet held its breath as enormous ships blotted out their star. There were hundreds of them, each one larger than their biggest city. Raylan pressed his face against the window of his apartment, his three-fingered hands trembling. He had heard the stories from other worlds. Every species in the galaxy knew about the Dominion. They came, they conquered, and everyone who resisted died. His communication device crackled to life. Every device on the planet did the same thing at the same moment. A voice spoke in perfect Meridian language, cold and empty of emotion. People of Meridian, you have one solar cycle to surrender. Bring your leaders to the landing zone we transmit now. Refuse and your world burns. The Dominion does not negotiate. The Dominion does not compromise. Obey or die. The transmission ended. Silence fell across the entire planet. Raylan looked at his daughter sleeping in the next room. She was only 5 cycles old. He thought about fighting. For maybe 3 seconds he thought about it. Then he remembered the images from other worlds. Mountains of ash where cities used to stand. Oceans boiling. Entire species reduced to slaves. 6 hours later, Meridian's government surrendered. They were the 3,847th civilization to do so. The Dominion did not celebrate. They simply added Meridian to their list and moved on. Raylan watched as young people from his world were selected for military service. He was one of them. His family would be spared if he served. If he refused, they would all die. He had no choice. Nobody did. That was 3 years ago. Now Raylan stood on the bridge of a Dominion warship called the Subjugator. He wore their uniform. He followed their orders. He watched as they approached new worlds and delivered the same message his people had received. Every single time the answer was the same. Surrender. Always surrender. Commander Draxus walked across the bridge, his heavy footsteps echoing. He was from a species that looked like walking armor, all plates and edges. Raylan had never seen him show mercy. Not once. Another primitive world, Draxus said, looking at the view screen. This will be quick. The ship's sensors had found a solar system with 9 planets. The third one from the sun showed signs of life. Radio signals. Satellite networks. Nuclear weapons, but primitive ones. Nothing that could threaten the Dominion. Raylan pulled up the information on his console. The species called themselves humans. They lived on a planet they named Earth. They were divided into different groups called nations. They fought each other regularly. Their technology was at least 2 centuries behind the Dominion's. They will surrender immediately, another officer said. Look at their military capability. They have barely left their own planet. Draxus nodded. Send the standard message. All languages. The Dominion had perfect translation technology. Within seconds, every human communication device on Earth received the message in their own language. Chinese, English, Spanish, Arabic, Hindi. All of them. People of Earth. You have one solar cycle to surrender. This is not a negotiation. This is not a request. The Dominion has conquered 3,847 civilizations. None have successfully resisted. Bring your leaders to the coordinates we provide. Refuse and your species ends. You have one cycle to decide. Raylan watched the planet below. It looked beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. He felt the familiar sick feeling in his stomach. Another world about to lose its freedom. Another species about to learn that resistance was futile. Hours passed. The Dominion monitored Earth's communications. Their translation computers picked up millions of conversations. Fear, panic, confusion, all normal reactions. But something else came through too. Something Raylan had not heard before. Anger. A lot of anger. He listened to some of the intercepted messages. Humans talking about their history. Wars they had fought. Empires they had defeated. They spoke names of conquerors from their past. Napoleon, Hitler, Genghis Khan. Each one had seemed unstoppable. Each one had fallen. They are in denial, Draxus said. They do not understand what they face. The solar cycle ended. Time for Earth's answer. A transmission came from the planet. A woman appeared on the view screen. She wore formal clothing and stood in front of flags from different nations. Her face was calm, but her eyes were hard. I am President Rachel Howard of the United Earth Coalition. We have received your message. We have discussed it with all nations of our world. We have reached a decision. Raylan leaned forward. Here it comes, he thought. The surrender speech. He had heard dozens of them. Our answer is no. The bridge went silent. Humanity has faced tyrants before, Howard continued. We have fought against impossible odds before. We have bled and died for freedom before. Some of us wanted to surrender. They were afraid. I understand their fear. But the majority of Earth has decided that some things are worth fighting for. We will not kneel. We will not obey. We will not surrender. If you want our world, you will have to take it from our cold, dead hands. The transmission ended. Nobody on the bridge moved. Raylan stared at the screen in shock. In 3 years of service, he had never heard anyone say no. Not once, every species submitted. It was the only logical choice. Draxus turned slowly. His voice was quiet, which made it more terrifying. They said no. Yes, Commander, an officer replied. They actually said no. Yes, Commander. Draxus walked to the communication console. He pressed a button that connected him directly to the Overlord, the supreme leader of the Dominion. A figure appeared on screen, shrouded in shadows. Raylan had never seen the Overlord's true face. Nobody had. Speak, the Overlord said. The humans refused, Draxus reported. A long pause. Then something Raylan had never heard before. The Overlord laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Interesting. How refreshing. It has been so long since anyone showed spirit. The Overlord leaned forward slightly. Break them. Make an example that will echo across the galaxy for 1,000 years. Show them why no one refuses the Dominion. Yes, Overlord, the transmission ended. Draxus turned to his weapons officer. Destroy their space station. The one in orbit. Make sure they see it happen. Raylan wanted to say something, wanted to warn them somehow, but he stayed silent. He always stayed silent. That was how you survived in the Dominion. The weapons fired. A human space station exploded in a ball of fire. No warning, no time to evacuate, just death. Below on Earth, billions of humans watched their people die. Raylan waited for their surrender message. Surely now they understood, but the surrender never came. Instead, every military installation on Earth went to full alert. Soldiers mobilized. Weapons were armed. The humans were preparing to fight. Raylan looked at the blue planet and felt something he had not felt in 3 years. He did not know what to call it at first. Then he realized it was hope. The emergency session began in chaos. Representatives from 196 nations filled the United Nations Assembly Hall. Every seat was taken. People shouted in dozens of languages. Some demanded immediate surrender. Others called for war. Many just looked terrified. President Rachel Howard sat in the front row watching the panic unfold. Her hands were steady, but inside she felt the weight of 8 billion lives pressing down on her shoulders. One decision. That was all she had to make. One decision that would determine whether humanity lived free or died fighting. General Alex Torres leaned close to her ear. Half the delegates want to surrender right now. They think we cannot win, can we? Rachel asked quietly. Alex was silent for 3 seconds. No, not militarily. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. But that is not the point, is it? Rachel shook her head. No, it is not. The Secretary General called for order. It took 10 minutes for the room to quiet down. When he finally spoke, his voice carried the exhaustion of a man who had not slept in 36 hours. We have all seen what happened to our space station. 15 astronauts dead. No warning, no mercy. This is what we face, he paused. The question before us is simple. Do we surrender or do we fight? A delegate from a small island nation stood up. Fight with what? We have nuclear weapons, yes. But they have shields that can stop them. We have fighter jets. They have ships that can destroy cities from orbit. This is not a war. This is suicide. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the hall. Another delegate rose, an older woman from a country that had survived multiple invasions in its history. My grandmother lived through occupation. She told me that there are things worse than death. Living on your knees is one of them. Easy to say when you are not the one who will watch your children burn. Someone shouted back. The arguments continued. Rachel listened to all of it. Fear, anger, desperation, all valid emotions. But emotions would not save them. Only a decision would. She stood up. The room gradually went quiet. May I speak? She asked. The Secretary General nodded. Rachel walked to the podium. She looked out at faces from every nation on Earth, rich countries and poor ones, old democracies and young ones. Every human culture represented in one room. I want to tell you about my grandfather, she began. He fought in World War II. He was at Normandy Beach. Do you know what the survival rate was for the first wave? 50%. Half of them died in the first 10 minutes. My grandfather knew this. Every man on those boats knew this. They went anyway. She paused, letting that sink in. I asked him once why he did it, why he stepped off that boat knowing he would probably die. He told me something I never forgot. He said that some things are worth dying for. Freedom is one of them. Not his own freedom. He lived in a free country, but the freedom of people he had never met, people in countries he had never visited. That was worth his life. Rachel's voice grew stronger. Humanity has always had two choices when facing tyrants. Kneel or fight. Every single time, some of us chose to fight. The ancient Greeks at Thermopylae, the slaves who rebelled throughout history, the resistance fighters against fascism, the protesters who stood in front of tanks. We have a long history of looking at impossible odds and saying no. A delegate from a major power stood up. Those are inspiring stories, President Howard. But stories do not stop orbital bombardment. Stories do not protect our cities. We are talking about extinction. Are we? Rachel challenged. They said we have one cycle to surrender. They said resistance is futile. But did you notice something? They gave us time. They gave us a warning. Why would an unstoppable force bother with warnings? General Alex stood up beside her. Because they are not as unstoppable as they claim. We analyzed the transmission. The Dominion has conquered thousands of worlds, yes. But how? They use fear. Psychological warfare. They make you believe you have already lost before the first shot is fired. That is their real weapon. Not their ships. Not their technology. Fear. And if you are wrong, someone asked. If they really are unstoppable? Rachel met their eyes. Then we die free. Our children will grow up in chains, but at least they will know their parents fought. They will know we did not go quietly. They will know that when the universe asked humanity to kneel, we stood tall. She pulled out a sheet of paper. I have been reading our history all night. Do you know how many times humans were told to surrender or die? How many times we were told resistance was futile? Every empire that ever existed said the same thing. The Mongols conquered half the world, but they fell. The Romans seemed eternal, but they fell. The British Empire covered the globe. It fell too. Every tyrant in history thought they were special, thought they were different, thought they would last forever. Rachel's voice dropped to almost a whisper, making everyone lean forward to hear. The Dominion is not special. They are just the latest in a long line of bullies, and humanity has been dealing with bullies for thousands of years. We know how this story ends. It just might not end in our lifetime. She looked around the room. So I am not here to tell you fighting is logical. It is not. I am not here to tell you we will win. We probably will not. I am here to ask you one question. What kind of species do we want to be? The kind that survives by surrendering, or the kind that fights even when fighting seems pointless? Silence filled the hall. Then an old delegate from a country that had suffered under dictatorship for decades stood up. He did not say anything. He just raised his hand. A vote for resistance, another delegate stood. Then another, then 10, then 50. Within 5 minutes, more than half the assembly was standing. The vote was called. 112 nations voted to resist. 74 voted to surrender. 10 abstained. Humanity had made its choice. General Alex immediately began coordinating with military leaders worldwide. Rachel went to record a message for the Dominion and for Earth. She sat in front of cameras from every major news network. When the red lights came on, she took a deep breath. People of Earth, the United Nations has voted. We will not surrender. I will not lie to you. Many of us will die. Our cities may burn. Our armies may fall. But we will fight. We will fight because that is what humans do. We will fight because freedom matters. We will fight because no one, not even a galactic empire, has the right to take our world without our permission. She paused. To the Dominion listening to this message. You have conquered thousands of worlds. You think you know how this ends, but you have never faced humanity before. We are the species that survived ice ages. We are the species that turned deserts into gardens and hostile continents into homes. We are the species that split the atom and walked on our moon. We are small. We are primitive by your standards. But we are humans. And humans do not kneel. The message was broadcast on every channel, translated into every language, sent into space toward the Dominion fleet. On the subjugator, Commander Draxus received the message. He watched it 3 times, his expression unreadable. Raylan watched from his station. He saw something in the human president's eyes. Something he had lost 3 years ago when Meridian surrendered. It was not hope exactly. It was something stronger. It was defiance. Draxus turned to his fleet. All ships, begin planetary assault. Target their military installations first. Show them what happens to those who defy the Dominion. The fleet moved into attack position. On Earth, air raid sirens began to wail. People ran for shelters. Soldiers took their positions. Parents held their children tight. Rachel Howard sat in the command center deep underground watching the displays. The Dominion ships were moving. War was coming, Alex stood beside her. No regrets? Thousands, Rachel admitted. But not about this. Never about this. They will write about this day, Alex said. Assuming anyone survives to write about it. Rachel almost smiled. Then we better make it a good story. The first Dominion weapons fired. Earth's defense systems fired back. The missiles looked like tiny fireflies rising to meet giants. The war for Earth had begun. And with it, something else began too. Something the Dominion did not expect. Something that would change the galaxy forever. Humanity had said no. And the universe was listening. The first human missile hit nothing but empty space. The second one exploded against a Dominion shield, creating a flash of light that faded in seconds. The third, fourth, and fifth met the same fate. Fighter jets scrambled from bases around the world, their pilots knowing they were flying to their deaths. Lieutenant Sarah Wilson pushed her F-35 to maximum speed, climbing toward the dark shapes that filled the sky. Her radio crackled with voices from other pilots. Some were praying. Some were cursing. Some were silent. Gold Squadron, stay in formation, her commander ordered. Wait for the opening. What opening? Someone asked. Their shields are blocking everything. Sarah watched as another wave of missiles detonated harmlessly against the Dominion barriers. The enemy ships had not even bothered to dodge. They just floated there, taking every hit without a scratch. Then the Dominion fired back. Beams of purple energy lanced down from orbit. A military base in Colorado disappeared in a flash of light. Then another in Russia. Then one in China. Each strike was precise, surgical, devastating. The Dominion was not trying to destroy Earth, not yet. They were making a point. All aircraft break formation and engage at will, the commander said. His voice was calm, almost resigned. Make them work for it. Sarah dove toward the nearest Dominion ship. It was smaller than the others, maybe only half a mile long. Her targeting computer could not get a lock. The alien technology confused her systems, so she did it the old way. She aimed by eye and fired. Her missiles streaked toward the ship. The shields flared, blocking them. But Sarah noticed something. The shield flickered for a split second. Just a tiny moment where the energy barrier weakened to dissipate the explosion. Did you see that? She shouted into her radio. The shields flicker when they get hit. If we time it right, a Dominion fighter appeared from nowhere and fired. Sarah's wingman exploded. No ejection, no time. Just gone. Sarah jerked her stick hard, spinning away from the next blast. 3 more Dominion fighters were on her now. Faster than anything Earth had built. More maneuverable. Better weapons. She was dead and she knew it, but she was human. And humans were stubborn. She cut her engines and let her plane drop. The Dominion fighters overshot her, confused by the maneuver. She fired her last 2 missiles at point-blank range into the nearest fighter's engine. No shields protected the exhaust ports. The alien fighter exploded. Sarah whooped in triumph for exactly 2 seconds before the other fighters vaporized her plane. She did not eject in time. On the subjugator, Raylan watched the human fighters swarm the Dominion vessels like insects attacking a giant. It was hopeless, suicidal, insane, and yet they kept coming. They fight like animals, Draxus observed. No discipline. No strategy. Just rage, but Raylan saw something else. Yes, the humans were losing, but they were adapting, learning. Every attack taught them something new. He watched as human pilots started aiming for exhaust ports, sensor arrays, any weak point they could find. The kills were rare, but they were happening. A Dominion transport ship took a direct hit to its landing bay. Humans had packed an old cargo plane with explosives and crashed it into the opening. The transport broke apart, raining debris on the ocean below. They are using suicide tactics, an officer reported with disgust. Draxus nodded. Primitives. Begin ground operations. Put troops on the surface. Show them what real soldiers can do. 12 landing craft descended through Earth's atmosphere. They carried 3,000 Dominion soldiers, equipped with energy weapons and powered armor. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. Earth would be no different. The first landing site was the Amazon rainforest. The Dominion wanted to establish a base far from major cities, somewhere they could operate without immediate human interference. The landing craft touched down in a clearing. Ramps dropped. Soldiers marched out in perfect formation. Raylan was among them, his rifle charged and ready. He had fought in 4 ground campaigns before this. He knew what to expect. Frightened civilians, maybe some local military putting up brief resistance before routing. Standard procedure. The jungle was quiet. Too quiet. Spread out, the squad leader ordered. Secure the perimeter. Raylan moved forward with his unit. The trees were thick here, blocking out most of the sunlight. Strange sounds echoed from the canopy. Birds, maybe. Or local animals. He kept his weapon ready. Something whistled through the air. A soldier next to Raylan made a gurgling sound and collapsed. An arrow was sticking out of his throat. An arrow. A primitive wooden arrow. Contact. Someone shouted. The jungle exploded with gunfire. Not energy weapons. Old-fashioned chemical projectile weapons. Bullets tore through the foliage from dozens of directions. Dominion soldiers fell. Their armor protected them from some hits, but the humans were aiming for joints, visors, any gap they could find. Return fire, the squad leader screamed. Raylan fired his energy rifle into the trees. He hit nothing. The humans were not standing still. They moved constantly, shooting and running, using the terrain like they were born in it. Because some of them were. Local tribes had joined with Brazilian military units. They knew every tree, every trail, every hiding spot. The Dominion soldiers were powerful, but they were fighting blind. A human dropped from the canopy directly onto a soldier, driving a machete into the armor's neck seal. Another Dominion fighter went down. Then another. Fall back to the landing craft, the squad leader ordered. They retreated, dragging their wounded. Humans harassed them every step of the way. Traps activated. Pitfalls opened. Explosives detonated. By the time they reached the landing craft, they had lost 400 soldiers. 400. In a jungle, against primitives, the landing craft took off under heavy fire. Raylan looked back at the green hell below. Bodies from both sides lay scattered in the clearing. The Dominion had taken the landing zone, but at a terrible cost. The second landing force hit Tokyo. They expected urban warfare to be easier. Cities were open, easy to navigate for troops with air support. They were wrong. Tokyo had turned itself into a fortress. Every street had barricades. Every building had snipers. The humans had evacuated civilians and filled the city with soldiers. Not just military, police, firefighters, armed civilians, anyone who could hold a weapon. The Dominion soldiers advanced down a major avenue. Buildings exploded on both sides, burying the lead units in rubble. More humans emerged from subway tunnels, firing rocket launchers at point-blank range. A Dominion tank fired its main cannon, destroying a building. The entire structure collapsed into the street, blocking the advance. When the Dominion tried to go around, humans hit them from behind. It was chaos, the kind of fighting where superior technology meant less, the kind of fighting where knowing the terrain was everything, the kind of fighting humans had practiced on each other for thousands of years. Commander Draxus watched the reports coming in from the surface. 50% casualties in the Amazon. Urban operations in Tokyo stalled. A third landing force ambushed in the Himalayas by Chinese and Indian troops working together. This is unacceptable, he said quietly. They are primitives. Primitives who refuse to die, an officer muttered. Draxus turned on him. What did you say? The officer swallowed hard. Nothing, Commander, but Raylan had heard it. And it was true. Humans were not winning. Not really. The Dominion still controlled orbit. Still had superior firepower. Still had the advantage, but humans were not losing either. Not fast enough, not completely. Every victory cost the Dominion blood. Every advance took time. Every objective required more resources than planned. This was supposed to be over in days. It had been a week and Earth still fought. Raylan returned to his quarters after the disastrous jungle mission. He pulled up his communication device and did something he had not done in 3 years. He sent a message home, to Meridian. He attached videos from Earth, humans fighting impossible odds, humans dying for their world. Humans who refused to surrender. Then he sent it through encrypted channels to other conquered worlds. Dozens of them, hundreds. He did not know why he did it. Maybe because he was tired of being afraid. Maybe because watching humans fight reminded him that he used to have courage too. Or maybe because for the first time in 3 years, he believed that the Dominion could bleed, and if they could bleed, they could die. 3 months changed everything. On Meridian, a young student named Kira watched the Forbidden video for the 5th time. She had found it on an underground network that the Dominion had not shut down yet. The video showed human soldiers defending a burning city. They were losing. They knew they were losing, but they kept fighting anyway. One human covered in blood and dirt looked directly at the camera and spoke. "They told you resistance was futile. They lied. They told you they were invincible. They lied. We are just humans with primitive weapons and old machines. And we are still here. Still fighting. Still free." The video ended with the human raising his fist in defiance before an explosion filled the screen. Kira watched it again, then again. She had lived under Dominion rule for 3 years. 3 years of obeying. 3 years of keeping her head down. 3 years of pretending to be a good little subject. She was done pretending. Kira shared the video with 10 friends. They shared it with 10 more. Within a week, thousands of young Meridians had seen it. Within a month, underground cells were forming. People who remembered what freedom felt like. The same thing was happening on dozens of other worlds. On Tidal, the aquatic world, resistance fighters watched videos of human naval battles. They saw how Earth submarines harassed Dominion ships that entered the oceans. The Tidal people had always thought their water world made them helpless against spacefaring conquerors. The humans taught them that water could be a weapon too. On Prism, the crystalline beings studied human military history. They learned about guerrilla warfare, asymmetric tactics, how small forces could hurt large ones. The crystalline people began developing their own strategies, using their unique ability to interface with technology in ways the Dominion had not blocked. And on Earth, the war continued. Colonel James Wright stood in what used to be New Delhi. The city was a ruin now. The Dominion had leveled it after humans reclaimed it for 72 hours. Millions dead. But for 72 hours, the Indian flag had flown over the capital again. Wright was recording another message. His face was older than it had been 3 months ago. Harder, more tired, but his eyes still burned with determination. "My name is Colonel James Wright. I am speaking to every conquered species in the galaxy. You know who we are now. The humans, the ones who said no. I want to tell you something important. The Dominion is afraid." He paused to let that sink in. "They are not showing you what is really happening here. They tell you we are crushed. That resistance is over. They are lying. Yes, our cities burn. Yes, millions of us have died, but we are still fighting. The Dominion thought they would control Earth in a week. It has been 3 months. They thought their soldiers were unstoppable. We have killed thousands of them. They thought their ships were invincible. We have destroyed 27 of them." Wright looked directly at the camera. "I am not telling you this to brag. I am telling you this because you need to know the truth. The Dominion can be hurt. They can be beaten. Not easily, not quickly, but it can be done. We are proving it every single day." He held up a piece of Dominion armor, scorched and broken. This came from one of their soldiers. He thought he was invincible. He was wrong. They all are. They are not gods. They are not unstoppable. They are just bullies with big ships. And humanity has been dealing with bullies since we lived in caves. Wright's voice grew softer, more personal. "I know you are afraid. I am afraid too. Fear is natural, but fear is not the same as defeat. You can be afraid and still fight. You can be terrified and still stand up. That is what courage really is. Not the absence of fear, but the decision that something matters more than fear." He looked down at the ruins around him. "They took this city from us. Killed everyone who stayed to fight. But for 72 hours, we showed them that humans do not stay conquered. We showed the galaxy that the Dominion can be defied. That victory is temporary. That no occupation lasts forever." Wright looked back at the camera. "So I'm asking you, all of you on worlds the Dominion claims to own, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for someone to save you? We cannot save you. We are barely saving ourselves. Are you waiting for the right moment? There is no right moment. There is only now." He raised his fist, the same gesture that had become a symbol of human resistance. Stand up. Fight back. You do not need to win. You just need to refuse to lose. Make them pay for every inch of ground. Make them bleed for every day they occupy your world. Make them afraid. The message ended. Raylan, hiding in a maintenance tunnel on the subjugator, sent it to every network he could access. He had been doing this for 3 months now. Stealing videos, copying messages, broadcasting the truth that the Dominion tried to hide. He knew he would be caught eventually, but he did not care anymore. Watching Earth resist had changed something in him. He remembered what it felt like to have courage. The messages were working. Reports came in from Dominion garrisons across the galaxy. Minor acts of sabotage, equipment failures that seemed suspicious, soldiers from conquered species who were slower to obey orders. Nothing major yet, but something was stirring. On Earth, President Rachel Howard sat in her bunker command center. The reports were not good. The Dominion controlled most of the major cities now. Human casualties were in the hundreds of millions. Military forces were at 40% strength, but they were still fighting. General Alex brought her the latest intelligence. The Dominion is pulling forces from other sectors. They need more troops here than they planned. It is causing strain across their empire. Rachel looked up. Strain? What kind of strain? The kind that happens when you spread yourself too thin. They are having to reinforce garrisons on other worlds. Reports of unrest. Nothing concrete yet, but the Dominion is worried. Rachel allowed herself a small smile. So we are making them uncomfortable. We are making them bleed resources they did not expect to bleed, Alex confirmed. It is not victory, but it is something. A communication officer interrupted them. Madam President, we are receiving a message. It is coming from inside the Dominion fleet. Rachel and Alex exchanged glances. Put it through. A face appeared on screen. Alien. 3 fingers. Wide eyes. Raylan. My name is Raylan. I am from Meridian. I serve the Dominion, but I do not believe in them anymore. I am the one who has been sending your messages across the galaxy. I wanted you to know that it is working. People are watching. People are listening. People are starting to believe. Raylan's voice shook slightly. My world surrendered without a fight. We were afraid. We thought the Dominion was unstoppable, but you have shown us the truth. They can be resisted. They can be hurt. They can be defied. He paused. I do not know how long I have before they find me. But I needed to tell you. You are not alone anymore. Meridian is preparing to rise. Tidal is organizing. Prism is planning. A dozen other worlds are watching and waiting. You gave us hope. Now we want to give you something in return. The transmission cut out suddenly. Alarms blared in the background. Raylan had been discovered. Rachel sat back in her chair. She felt tears in her eyes but did not let them fall. Did we just start a galactic revolution? Alex looked stunned. I think we did. On the subjugator, Dominion security forces dragged Raylan from the maintenance tunnel. Commander Draxus himself was there, his face twisted with rage. Traitor, you have been broadcasting classified information. You have aided the enemy. You will be executed. Raylan looked at him without fear. For 3 years he had been afraid every single day, but not anymore. The humans had taught him something valuable. Some things were worth dying for. Execute me, Raylan said calmly. It does not matter. The messages are already out there. The galaxy knows the truth now. The Dominion is not invincible. Earth proved it, and now others will prove it too. Draxus struck him across the face. You are nothing. A minor functionary from a worthless world. You change nothing. Raylan smiled through his broken teeth. Maybe, but I am not the only one anymore. There are others like me on every ship, on every garrison, on every conquered world. We were afraid. We stayed silent, but the humans showed us that silence is also a choice, and we are choosing differently now. He was dragged away to the detention cells, but his words echoed through the ship. Other conquered species who served the Dominion heard them, and some of them began to think dangerous thoughts, thoughts about courage, about resistance, about freedom. The Dominion had conquered Earth's cities, but they had lost something far more valuable. They had lost the fear that kept their empire together. They had shown the galaxy that they could bleed, and now the galaxy wanted to see them fall. The galaxy erupted. It started on Meridian. Kira and her resistance cell attacked a Dominion supply depot at midnight. They used tactics copied from human guerrilla warfare videos, Hit fast, hit hard. Disappear before reinforcements arrive. The depot burned for 3 days. The Dominion sent soldiers to crush the rebellion. They found empty streets and silent buildings. Then the ambush hit. Meridian citizens fought from rooftops, basements, tunnels. They lost 3 fighters for every Dominion soldier they killed. But they kept fighting. Within a week, 15 cities on Meridian were in open revolt. On Tidal, the aquatic people sabotaged every Dominion underwater installation simultaneously. They moved through their oceans like ghosts, cutting power lines, destroying equipment, freeing prisoners. The Dominion had never learned to fight underwater. The Tidal people had lived there for millions of years. Prism's crystalline beings did something even more dangerous. They hacked into the Dominion communication network, not to destroy it, to spread the truth. Every garrison across the galaxy suddenly received videos from Earth, messages from Raylan, footage of resistance on other worlds. The Dominion tried to shut it down. They failed. The crystalline people were too good with technology. They had spent 3 years learning the Dominion systems. Now they turned that knowledge into a weapon. Within a month, 15 worlds were in rebellion. Within 2 months, 40. The Dominion found itself fighting on dozens of fronts at once. Commander Draxus stood in the subjugator's command center, watching reports flood in. Every screen showed a different crisis. Garrison overrun on Meridian, supply lines cut on Tidal, communication blackout on Prism. And through it all, Earth continued to resist. How did this happen? He demanded. We had perfect control. Perfect fear. An intelligence officer spoke carefully. The humans, Commander. They changed the equation. Before Earth, conquered species believed resistance was suicide. Now they see that it is possible. Costly but possible? Possible? Draxus's voice rose. We are still winning. We control Earth's major population centers. We have crushed every major military force they had. Yes, Commander. But it took us 6 months. Every other conquest in Dominion history took less than a week. The other species see that. They see the Dominion struggling. They see us pulling forces from garrison duty to fight on Earth. They see opportunity. Draxus knew it was true. The Dominion had sent 70% of its forces to Earth. They needed overwhelming power to crush the human resistance. But that left other worlds vulnerable, and those worlds were taking advantage. The Overlord's face appeared on the view screen, still shrouded in shadows, but there was tension in the voice now. Report. 43 worlds in active rebellion, Draxus said. Another 100 showing signs of unrest. We are suppressing them, but it is taking time and resources. And Earth? Still fighting. We control the surface, but resistance continues. Underground networks. Rural areas. They will not surrender. The Overlord was silent for a long moment. I underestimated them. I thought humans were like every other primitive species. Weak, easily broken. But they are something different. They are infectious. Infectious, Overlord. Their defiance spreads like a disease. Every world that sees them resist begins to think resistance is possible. Every video of humans fighting makes our conquered subjects remember they used to be free. The Overlord leaned forward. End this. Pull forces from Earth. Suppress the rebellions. We will deal with humanity later. Overlord, if we reduce forces on Earth, the humans will reclaim territory. Let them. Earth is one world. We are losing an empire. Prioritized. The transmission ended. Draxus felt a cold knot in his stomach. For the first time in his military career, the Dominion was losing control. Not on one world. Across the galaxy, he gave the orders. Half the fleet would leave Earth and spread out to suppress rebellions. It was the logical decision, the right strategic move, but it felt like defeat. On Earth, President Rachel Howard received the intelligence report with disbelief. They are leaving? Half their fleet, General Alex confirmed, pulling out to deal with rebellions on other worlds. Rachel looked at the maps showing Dominion-controlled territory. So we created enough chaos that they cannot focus on us anymore. Essentially, yes. We lost millions. Most of our cities are damaged or destroyed. But we survived long enough to inspire others. And now those others are making the Dominion pay. Rachel felt a strange mix of grief and hope. How many? 43 worlds in open rebellion. More joining every day. The Dominion Empire is fracturing. For 6 months, Rachel had carried the weight of humanity's choice. The weight of all those deaths. All those cities turned to ash. All those families destroyed. She had questioned the decision 1,000 times. Wondered if surrender would have been better. If all those lives could have been saved. Now she knew the answer. Surrender would have saved lives, but it would have condemned the galaxy to eternal tyranny. Earth's sacrifice had been the spark that lit a galactic fire. Contact the other resistance movements, Rachel ordered. Establish communication. Coordinate our efforts. We are not alone anymore. Over the next week, Earth made contact with 43 different species. They shared tactics, intelligence, resources. The Dominion had united the galaxy through fear. Now the Resistance was uniting it through hope. Raylan, released from detention when the Dominion needed every soldier for combat duty, found himself assigned to a garrison on Meridian, his own homeworld. The irony was not lost on him. He walked through streets he had known as a child. They were covered in graffiti now. Images of humans raising their fists. Words in a dozen languages all saying the same thing. Resist, fight, be free. His squad was ordered to clear a residential district suspected of harboring rebels. They moved through empty buildings, weapons ready. Raylan felt sick. These were his people, his neighbors, his world. A Dominion officer pointed to a house. Scanners showed life signs inside. 3 contacts. Breach and clear. The soldiers kicked down the door. Inside, they found a mother and 2 children huddled in a corner. The woman looked at the soldiers with hatred in her eyes. One of the children, a young boy, wore a shirt with a human flag on it. No weapons, a soldier reported. Just civilians. The officer looked at Raylan. Your homeworld, right? You know the protocol. Suspected rebels are to be eliminated, including families. Raylan looked at the woman and children. He thought about his own daughter, dead in a Dominion labor camp 2 years ago. He thought about the humans fighting and dying for freedom. He thought about 3 years of obedience and fear. He made his decision. Rollin turned his weapon on the Dominion officer and fired. The shot took the officer in the chest. Before the other soldiers could react, Raylan killed 2 more. The remaining 3 stared at him in shock. You have a choice, Raylan said calmly. Keep serving the Dominion and die, or join the rebellion and fight for something real. One soldier raised his weapon toward Raylan. The mother from the corner grabbed a kitchen knife and drove it into the soldier's back. The remaining 2 soldiers lowered their weapons. We are with you, one of them said. Raylan looked at the scared family. Get out of here. Tell the Resistance that Dominion soldiers are defecting. Tell them the Empire is breaking from the inside. The family ran. Raylan and the 2 soldiers who chose freedom stripped off their Dominion uniforms. They joined the Meridian Resistance that day. Within a week, 300 more soldiers followed their example. The galaxy was learning something the Dominion had forgotten. Empires built on fear are strong until the fear breaks. Then they collapse all at once. In orbit above Tidal, a massive space battle erupted. Resistance forces from 6 different worlds had united their fleets. They were still outgunned, still outmatched, but they had numbers now. And they had learned from the humans. They used asteroid fields for cover. They targeted weak points. They coordinated their attacks. They accepted losses and kept fighting. The Dominion won the battle, but it cost them 1/3 of their fleet. On Prism, crystalline beings seized control of the planet's main spaceport. They invited representatives from other resistance movements. The first Galactic Resistance Council met in a commandeered Dominion building. Under a flag that combined symbols from all free species, President Rachel Howard attended via hologram. Her image projected from Earth. She looked at the faces of dozens of species. All of them had suffered under the Dominion. All of them had chosen to fight. 6 months ago, Earth stood alone, Rachel said. Today we stand together. The Dominion thought they could break us one world at a time. They did not realize that our spirits were connected, that one spark of defiance could light a fire across the stars. A representative from Tidal spoke. Her voice translated into a dozen languages. Humans gave us hope when we had none. You showed us that the Dominion could bleed. Now we show them they can fall. Plans were made. Resources shared. The rebellion was becoming a revolution. Commander Draxus watched it all from the subjugator. His empire was dying, not from military defeat, from something worse. From the death of fear. The Dominion had ruled through terror for centuries. But terror only works when people believe it is eternal. Earth had proven it was not. and now the galaxy was collecting the debt the Dominion owed for all those centuries of oppression. The Dominion capital world had never been attacked before. It hung in space like a jewel, protected by the most powerful defense network ever built. 500 warships orbited it constantly, planetary shields that could withstand a supernova, weapons that could vaporize entire fleets. It was supposed to be impregnable. The Overlord's throne world, the heart of an empire that ruled 3,000 systems. Today it was under siege. The combined resistance fleet appeared at the edge of the system. Ships from 50 different worlds, humans, meridians, tidal aquatic cruisers, prism crystal carriers, and dozens of other species. The fleet was massive but still smaller than the Dominion Defense Force. On Earth's flagship Defiance, President Rachel Howard stood on the command bridge. She had left the bunker for the first time in 8 months to be here. To see the end one way or another, General Alex stood beside her. "All ships report ready. We have one shot at this." "Then we better not miss," Rachel said. The battle began with a coordinated strike. Resistance ships from every direction, overwhelming the Dominion's ability to respond to all threats at once. It was chaotic, desperate. Ships exploded on both sides. The void filled with fire and debris, but the resistance kept coming. For every ship destroyed, 2 more pushed forward. They had learned from Earth. They had learned that victory was not about superior technology. It was about refusing to quit. Commander Draxus commanded the Dominion defense from the subjugator. He watched his screens with growing horror. His forces were winning individual battles but losing the war. There were too many enemies, too many directions, too much chaos. "All ships fall back to inner defense ring," he ordered. "Protect the Overlord at all costs." The Dominion fleet contracted into a tighter formation around their capital world. More defensible but also more concentrated. Exactly what the Resistance wanted. On a Meridian cruiser, Raylan coordinated with ground forces. While the space battle raged, transport ships were sneaking through the gaps in the Dominion defense. Thousands of Resistance fighters headed for the surface. Raylan was among them. He was going home. Not to his own world, but to the place where his freedom had been stolen. The Overlord's throne. The transports made it through the chaos and landed in different locations across the capital world. Dominion ground forces were spread thin, most of them in orbit supporting the space battle. The Resistance fighters moved quickly toward the capital city. They met resistance, but nothing like what they expected. Many of the Dominion soldiers were from conquered species. When they saw who was attacking, some laid down their weapons. Others joined the resistance on the spot. The Empire was collapsing from within. Raylan's unit fought their way into the Overlord's palace. The building was massive, built to inspire fear and awe. Now it was just another military objective. They cleared rooms, disabled security, freed prisoners held in the dungeons. In the throne room, they found the Overlord waiting. For the first time, the shadows were gone. The mysterious Supreme Leader stood revealed under the lights. He was Meridian. Same species as Raylan, same 3 fingers, same wide eyes. "You," Raylan breathed. "You are from my world." The Overlord smiled without warmth. "I was, centuries ago, before the Dominion came to Meridian. I had a choice, fight and die or serve and live. I chose to live. I rose through their ranks. Eventually I became them. I led the very force that conquered my own people." Raylan raised his weapon. "You are a traitor." "I am a survivor," the Overlord corrected. "And I will survive this too. Kill me if you want. Another will take my place. The Dominion is an idea. Ideas do not die." "You are wrong," Raylan said. "The Dominion is not an idea. It is a lie. The lie that power makes right. The lie that resistance is futile. The lie that freedom does not matter. Earth exposed your lies, and now your empire falls." He pulled the trigger. The Overlord fell. No dramatic speech. No final revelation. Just the end of a tyrant. In space, the battle reached its climax. The Dominion had lost a third of their fleet. The Resistance had lost more, but they kept fighting. Human ships rammed Dominion cruisers when they ran out of ammunition. Tidal vessels released their water-based weapons that froze enemy ships solid. Prism carriers hacked into Dominion systems and turned their weapons against each other. It was brutal, ugly, terrible, and it was working. Commander Draxus received the report that the Overlord was dead. He stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he did something he had never done in 30 years of military service. He surrendered. All Dominion forces cease fire. I repeat, cease fire. The Overlord is dead. The capital has fallen. The war is over. Slowly, reluctantly, the Dominion ships stopped shooting. Some tried to run. Most stayed and accepted their defeat. The empire that had lasted for centuries died in a single day. But the cost was terrible. The resistance had lost millions. 40% of their combined fleet was destroyed. Entire worlds had been devastated in the rebellions. Earth's population was half what it had been a year ago. In the palace throne room, Raylan stood over the Overlord's body. He felt no joy, no triumph, just exhaustion. Around him, resistance fighters from dozens of species gathered. They looked at each other with weary relief. A human soldier, one of the few who had made it off Earth to join the final battle, walked up to Raylan. "Is it over?" "The fighting is," Raylan said. "But the hard part is just beginning." 3 months later, representatives from every liberated world gathered on Prism, the Galactic Assembly of Free Worlds. They came to decide what would replace the Dominion, what kind of galaxy they wanted to build. President Rachel Howard addressed them. She looked older now, worn by the weight of all those deaths, but her eyes still held fire. "We did not fight to become the new Dominion," she said. "We fought for freedom, for choice, for the right of every species to determine their own future. What we build here must reflect that." Debates raged for weeks. Systems of government were proposed and rejected. Rules were written and rewritten. It was messy, democratic, chaotic, everything the Dominion had never been. Eventually, they reached agreements. A loose confederation, no supreme leader. Decisions made by majority vote but with protection for minority rights. Military forces shared for common defense but controlled by individual worlds for sovereignty. Trade open and free but regulated to prevent exploitation. It was not perfect. It would never be perfect. But it was built on consent, not conquest. On cooperation, not coercion. On hope, not fear. The Dominion's former soldiers and leaders faced trial. Some were executed for their crimes. Most were imprisoned. A few, like Raylan, who had turned against the Empire, were pardoned. Justice, not revenge. Raylan visited Earth for the first time a year after the war ended. He walked through the ruins of New Delhi, where Colonel James Wright had recorded his first message to the galaxy. A monument had been built there, a simple stone with names carved into it. Millions of names. All the humans who died fighting for freedom. At the top, an inscription, "To those who stood when the galaxy knelt." Similar monuments had been built on every liberated world. On Meridian, on Tidal, on Prism. Everywhere people had fought and died, they were remembered. Raylan met with President Howard in her rebuilt office. She looked tired but at peace. "Your people saved the galaxy," Raylan said. Rachel shook her head. "We started something. But it took all of you to finish it. Freedom is not something one species can give another. It is something each people must claim for themselves." "Earth showed us how," Raylan insisted. "Before your defiance, we thought we had no choice. You proved that there is always a choice. Even if the choice is between slavery and death, the choice still exists." Rachel smiled sadly. "It was a terrible price. So many dead, so many cities destroyed. Sometimes I wonder if it was worth it." "It was," Raylan said firmly. "My daughter died in a Dominion labor camp. I will never get her back. But because of what Earth did, because of what we all did together, no other parent will lose their child to the Dominion. That matters. That means something." They stood in silence for a moment, two survivors of a war that had changed the galaxy. 10 years passed. Earth recovered. Cities were rebuilt. Population was growing again. Advanced technology from other worlds helped, but the humans insisted on keeping their independence. They accepted help but not control. The Galactic Assembly thrived. Not perfectly. There were disputes, conflicts, problems, but they were solved through diplomacy, not domination. Through votes, not violence. On Meridian, Kira became a teacher. She taught history to young students. Today's lesson was about the rebellion. "Who can tell me why the Dominion fell?" she asked her class. A student raised her hand. "Because humanity fought back." "That is part of it," Kira said. "But why did humanity's fight matter?" "Other species had resisted before. They all lost," another student spoke up. "Because Earth did not give up. They kept fighting even when they were losing." "Yes," Kira nodded. "But there is something more." Something deeper. Earth did not just fight the Dominion. They fought the idea that the Dominion was inevitable. They fought the belief that resistance was futile. They proved that tyrants only have the power we give them through our fear and obedience. She looked at her students. Young faces, free faces. They had grown up in a galaxy without the Dominion. They could not imagine what it had been like to live under that shadow. The Dominion told us we had to obey or die. Earth taught us there was a third option: resist and live. Not all of us. Not easily. But some would survive. And those survivors would be free. That lesson changed everything. She pulled up images from the war. Humans fighting impossible odds. Species from across the galaxy joining together. The final battle above the capital world. Remember this, Kira told them. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something matters more than fear. Freedom, justice, dignity. These things matter more than safety. More than comfort. More than life itself. A student raised his hand. But is it not better to be alive and enslaved than dead and free? Kira smiled. It was the same question she had asked herself before the rebellion. Before Earth showed her the answer, maybe, she said, but a galaxy full of living slaves is not worth having. A galaxy where people stand for what is right, even when standing costs them everything, that is a galaxy worth dying for. That is a galaxy worth living in. She looked at the monument visible through the classroom window. It listed the names of every Meridian who had died in the rebellion. The dead are honored not because they died, but because they chose what mattered. They chose freedom, and because they made that choice, all of you can make your own choices now. That is their gift to us. That is what makes their sacrifice meaningful. The class ended. Students filed out talking about the lesson. Some would remember it, some would forget, but they would all grow up free because of what their ancestors had chosen. Across the galaxy, similar lessons were taught. Similar monuments stood. The story of Earth's defiance became legend, not because humans were stronger or smarter or better than other species, but because when the moment came when the choice was slavery or death, they chose a third path. They chose to fight for something better than survival. They chose to stand for an idea. They chose freedom, and in choosing they reminded the galaxy what it had forgotten. That tyranny only endures as long as people accept it. That oppression only survives when fear outweighs courage. That empires fall when enough people decide they would rather die free than live in chains. Earth did not save the galaxy alone. But Earth showed the galaxy how to save itself, and that made all the difference. The holographic display showed Earth spinning slowly in the darkness of space. Ambassador Rylan watched it with cold eyes. Around the circular chamber, representatives from 14 different species sat in silence. Nobody spoke. They all knew why they were here. This meeting did not exist in any official record. The chamber itself was hidden deep inside Concordia Prime, far from the public halls where normal council business happened. Security systems had been disabled. Recording devices were banned. What happened here today would change the galaxy forever. Rylan spread his wings slightly, a gesture that meant he was ready to begin. His species, the Skyborn, had ruled the skies of their homeworld for thousands of years before they ever touched ground. Now they ruled trade routes across 15 systems. But that was not enough anymore. Humans were taking everything. We have delayed long enough, Rylan said. His translator converted his chirping voice into words everyone could understand. The humans have become a threat we can no longer ignore. High Commander Thrask nodded his massive head. The reptilian warrior had scales that gleamed like polished armor. His species, the Scaled Dominion, had conquered 12 worlds through pure military might. They respected strength. They saw none in humanity. 50 colony worlds in less than 100 cycles, Thrask said. His voice rumbled like grinding stone. They breed like insects. They consume resources without thought. They expand without asking permission. Counselor Vessa shifted in her water-filled seat. Her aquatic form pulsed with colors that showed concern. They are young, she said carefully. All species expand rapidly at first. We did the same. Not like this, Rylan snapped. We expanded with purpose, with culture, with respect for those who came before. Humans simply they see empty space and fill it. They find resources and drain them. In another 100 cycles, they will outnumber all of us combined. Grand Admiral Poth clicked his mandibles together. The insectoid commander controlled the largest fleet in known space. His compound eyes reflected the image of Earth 1,000 times. Intelligence reports confirm their military is primitive, he said. Kinetic weapons, chemical rockets, nuclear devices. They have no energy shields, no quantum drives, no plasma weapons. Then why do we hesitate? Thrask demanded. He stood up to his full height, towering over most of the others. We have the advantage now. Every day we wait, they grow stronger. They learn faster than any species we have encountered. Give them another generation and they will match our technology. Ryland pulled up another display. This one showed human colony worlds spreading across the map like a growing infection. Red dots multiplied across systems that had been empty for millions of years. They have no respect for territory, he said. They claim worlds without asking. They ignore our warnings. They act as if the galaxy belongs to them. Because they believe it does, Vesa said quietly. I have studied their broadcasts, their history. They are a competitive species. On their world, they competed with each other for everything. Resources, land, power. They have known nothing but struggle. Now they look at the stars and see only opportunity. Then we must teach them reality, Thrask said. He activated his own display, showing detailed battle plans, simultaneous strikes. Earth and their 20 largest colonies. We hit them everywhere at once. Destroy their orbital infrastructure. Eliminate their communications. Show them they are not alone in this galaxy. Show them there are consequences. Several counselors shifted uncomfortably. This was not diplomacy. This was extermination. How many ships? Someone asked. 800, Poth answered. The combined might of 11 species. More firepower than has ever been assembled in galactic history. We will overwhelm them before they can respond. And if they surrender? Vesa asked. Thrask's eyes narrowed. Then we accept it. We are not monsters. But they must be broken first. They must understand they cannot simply take whatever they want. There must be order. There must be rules. Ryland looked around the chamber. He saw fear in some faces, greed in others, determination in most. The vote would pass. He had made sure of it through months of careful political maneuvering. Every species here had lost something to human expansion. Territory, trade, pride. We vote now, Ryland said. All in favor of military action against humanity. Hands, claws, tentacles, and appendages rose one by one. 11 species voted yes. 3 abstained, including Vesa. None voted no. The motion passes, Ryland declared. We strike in 90 rotations. That gives us time to position our fleets without arousing suspicion. High Commander Thrask will coordinate all military operations. Grand Admiral Poth will command the combined fleet. This council will meet again only when humanity has been dealt with. The representatives began to leave, moving quickly and quietly. They had started something that could not be stopped now. Forces were already moving. Ships would soon gather in secret locations. Weapons would be armed. Soldiers would be briefed. Thrask remained behind with Ryland and Poth. The 3 leaders looked at the hologram of Earth together. Do you think they know? Poth asked. Impossible, Thrask said. Our security has been absolute. Our communications encrypted beyond their ability to crack. They suspect nothing. They are dangerous when desperate, Poth warned. My intelligence officers say humans have a concept they call total war. When threatened with extinction, they fight with everything they have. Ryland laughed, a sound like wind through metal pipes. With what? Their primitive weapons? Their chemical rockets. By the time they understand what is happening, it will be over. We will be standing on Earth's surface, dictating terms. Thrask nodded slowly. Still, we should not underestimate them completely. I will add extra ships to the Earth strike force. Just to be certain. Wise, Ryland agreed. But unnecessary. In 90 rotations, the human problem will be solved. The galaxy will return to proper order, and we will be remembered as the ones who saved civilization from chaos. They did not notice the small maintenance drone in the corner of the chamber. They did not see its optical sensor recording everything. They had no idea that deep in the cold darkness between stars, human intelligence officers were already watching this very conversation. The trap had been set long ago. Now it was simply a matter of waiting for the prey to walk into it. 300 meters below the surface of the Swiss Alps, Director Olivia Grant stared at screens that showed the future of humanity. Her office had no windows. No natural light ever reached this deep. But right now she could see everything that mattered. The recording played for the 5th time. Alien voices speaking in languages that should have been impossible to understand. But humanity had cracked their encryption 8 months ago. Every word was clear. Every plan was known. They really think we have no idea, Admiral Raymond Fletcher said. He stood beside her, arms crossed, watching alien leaders plot the death of billions. They actually believe their communications are secure. Grant touched a button and the recording paused on Ryland's face. The alien ambassador looked so confident, so certain of victory. Pride, she said simply. They see us as children playing with toys. They cannot imagine we might be listening. How long until they attack? 83 days. They are already moving ships into position. Our deep space sensors have tracked 6 fleet concentrations forming in dark areas between systems. Grant pulled up a star map. Red markers showed where alien forces were gathering. They are being careful, moving slowly, trying not to alert us. Fletcher smiled without humor. Should we tell them we have known since the beginning? Not yet. Let them come. Let them think they have surprise on their side. Grant switched displays to show Earth's orbital space. To any observer, it looked almost empty. A few patrol ships, some commercial stations, light defenses. We have worked too hard on this deception to ruin it now. Show me what they cannot see, Fletcher said. Grant typed commands and the display changed. Suddenly, Earth's orbit was crowded with hundreds of additional markers, weapons platforms disguised as communication satellites, battleships hiding in the shadows of the moon, fighter squadrons tucked inside hollowed asteroids, an entire fleet invisible to alien sensors. The fishbowl strategy, Fletcher said with satisfaction. Make them think they are looking at everything while hiding the truth right in front of them. Dr. Tanaka calls it applied misdirection, Grant said. She pulled up another screen showing a woman in a lab coat examining what looked like a massive cannon. She has been busy. Fletcher leaned forward to read the specifications. His eyebrows rose. Railguns? I thought those were still theoretical. They were. 3 years ago. Now we have 47 of them positioned across the solar system. Each one can punch through any shield the aliens use. They will never see the shots coming. What else? Grant smiled. It was not a nice smile. Plasma torpedoes that track targets through quantum signatures. Reality distortion mines that create pockets of altered space-time. Drone swarms with distributed AI that can operate even if communications are cut. And that is just the weapons they know we might have. We also have things they never imagined. She pulled up footage of soldiers training in facilities on Mars. They moved fast, too fast for normal humans. Their armor was sleek and black, covered in sensors and weapons. Augmentation, Grant explained. Voluntary. Captain Okonkwo leads the 1st Battalion. Enhanced reflexes. Enhanced strength. Neural links to their weapon systems. They can board enemy ships and clear them in minutes. Fletcher watched the soldiers move through a training scenario. They fought like nothing he had ever seen, precise, brutal, efficient. How many? 5,000. All volunteers. All ready to deploy the moment the aliens enter our space. Grant closed that display and brought up another. This one showed colonies across dozens of worlds. Every human colony has been fortified. Every ship has been armed. Every station has been turned into a fortress. We look weak. We are anything but. The cost of all this must be enormous, Fletcher said. 15% of our entire economic output for the past 3 years, Grant confirmed, redirected from other projects. Done quietly, done carefully. No public announcements, no media coverage. Just millions of people working together because they understand what is at stake. Do they know the attack is coming? The leaders do. The governments. The military. The general population thinks we are simply expanding our defenses as we grow. They do not know about the specific threat. We decided panic would serve no purpose. Fletcher nodded slowly. And when the aliens arrive? We let them get close. We let them think they are winning. We let them commit fully to the attack. Grant's voice was cold now. Hard. And then we show them what happens when you mistake patience for weakness. She pulled up the tactical plan. It was beautiful in its complexity. Every move calculated, every response planned. They will emerge at the edge of the system. Standard procedure for them. We will have patrol ships in the area that will scan them, act surprised and retreat. That retreat will pull them deeper into the solar system. Toward the trap, Fletcher said. Toward the trap, Grant agreed. They will advance carefully at first. But when they see how few ships we have, they will grow confident. They will speed up. They will think they can end this quickly. She zoomed in on Mars' orbit. This is where we hit them. Close enough that they are committed. far enough that we have room to maneuver. Every hidden asset activates at once. They will go from hunting to being hunted in seconds. Casualties? We will take losses, Grant said quietly. War always has a cost, but our projections show we will destroy 70% of their fleet in the first engagement. The rest will scatter. Some will escape. That is intentional. Fletcher looked at her sharply. Intentional? We need survivors, Grant explained. We need them to go back to their people and tell them what happened. We need the galaxy to know that humanity can defend itself, that we are not prey. We could destroy every alien ship completely, but then they would just send more. Better to let some escape and carry a message of what happens when you attack Earth. A message written in burning wreckage. Fletcher said, Exactly. Grant closed all the displays and turned to face the Admiral directly. 83 days. That is all the time we have left to prepare. After that, everything changes. Either we survive this or humanity ends. There is no middle ground. Fletcher met her eyes. Then we had better make sure we survive. Far above them, construction crews were putting the final touches on weapon systems that did not officially exist. In shipyards across the moon, workers were removing the civilian covers from military hulls. On Mars, soldiers were running final training exercises. Throughout the solar system, humanity was preparing for a war that would decide everything. The aliens thought they were hunting humans. They had no idea humans had been preparing to be hunted for years. And the difference between those two things would determine who lived and who died when the shooting finally started. Space tore open like a wound. 800 alien warships emerged from quantum tunnels at the edge of the solar system, their hulls gleaming with weapons that could crack planets. High Commander Thrask watched from the bridge of his flagship as reality sealed itself behind them. The human system lay before him undefended and unaware. Scan for defensive positions, he ordered. His crew worked quickly, their instruments reaching across millions of kilometers. They were looking for the fleet that would try to stop them, the weapons platforms that would fire, the mines that might be waiting. They found almost nothing. Sir, detecting only minimal activity, his sensor officer reported. 12 patrol ships in the outer system, 3 orbital stations around the primary planet, standard commercial traffic, no military concentrations. Thrask felt his scales tighten with satisfaction. The intelligence had been correct. Humans had no idea this was coming. They had no defense prepared. This would be easier than expected. Advance toward the third planet, he commanded. Battle formation. Shields at maximum. Launch scouts ahead to ensure no surprises. The fleet began to move, 800 ships sliding through space like predators approaching sleeping prey. Their formation was perfect. Each ship knew its role. Each captain understood the mission. Destroy human military capability. Force surrender. Establish order. Ahead of them, a small group of human patrol ships detected the incoming fleet. Thrask watched as they scrambled to respond. It was almost sad. 5 little ships turning to face an armada. They did not even try to fight. Instead, they sent out emergency broadcasts and began retreating toward Earth at maximum speed. Should we pursue? His weapons officer asked. No, Thrask said. Let them run. Let them warn their homeworld. It will make no difference. By the time Earth understands what is happening, we will already be in position. The human ships disappeared toward the inner system, their drives burning bright with panic. Thrask ordered his fleet to increase speed. No point in being cautious now. The humans knew they were here. Time to end this quickly. They passed Neptune's orbit without incident. Then Uranus. The fleet moved faster now, confidence growing with every empty kilometer. Jupiter's massive bulk appeared ahead, its storms swirling across a surface larger than a dozen Earths. The fleet split smoothly to pass on either side of the gas giant. Approaching Mars orbit, the navigation officer reported. Earth visible ahead, still detecting minimal defenses. Thrask moved to the main viewport. There, small and blue in the darkness, hung the human homeworld. It looked so fragile, so alone. Around it he could see a few stations, some satellites, a handful of ships that were clearly civilian vessels trying to flee. No fleet, no army. Nothing that could stop what was about to happen. Prepare firing solutions for all orbital targets, Thrask ordered. Once we eliminate their infrastructure, they will have no choice but to surrender. His weapons officer began locking onto targets. Space stations, communication satellites, what few military installations they could detect. It would take minutes to destroy everything humanity had built in orbit. Minutes to reduce them from a spacefaring species back to primitives trapped on a single world. "Sir, the moon," his sensor officer said suddenly. Something in her voice made Thrask turn. "What about it?" "It is opening." Thrask looked at the display in confusion. The moon was opening? That made no sense. Moons did not open. But then he saw it. Massive doors in the lunar surface sliding back. Doors that had been invisible until now. Doors large enough to fly ships through, hundreds of ships. "Alert!" someone shouted, detecting massive power spikes throughout the system. Multiple targets appearing on sensors. The displays lit up like a festival. Red markers appeared everywhere. Behind asteroids. In orbital positions that had seemed empty seconds ago. Around Jupiter's moons. Throughout the asteroid belt. Hidden in Saturn's rings. They had been there all along, invisible, waiting. All ships, shields to maximum. Thrask roared, but even as he spoke, he knew it was too late. They were already inside the trap. Already surrounded. Already dead. The first human railgun fired from a weapons platform disguised as a weather satellite. The shot moved at a significant fraction of light speed. By the time Thrask's flagship detected it, the round had already punched through 2 escort cruisers. Their shields might as well have been made of paper. Then every human weapon in the solar system fired at once. Space became light and death. Railgun rounds tore through shields like they were not there. Plasma torpedoes curved around defensive fire to strike engines and reactors. Reality distortion mines activated in the middle of the alien formation, creating pockets of twisted space that crushed ships into pieces. Evasive maneuvers. Thrask screamed, but there was nowhere to go. The humans had positioned their weapons perfectly. Every direction the aliens turned, more fire was waiting. Ships exploded by the dozens. Debris fields expanded into clouds of wreckage. The carefully organized fleet formation dissolved into chaos. A human battleship decloaked directly above Thrask's flagship. It was massive, larger than any human vessel intelligence reports had mentioned. Its hull was covered in weapons. Every one of them pointed down. "Shield sections 3 through 7 failing," someone yelled. "Engines hit. We are losing power." Casualty reports coming in from all ships. "We have lost over 100 vessels in the first 3 minutes." Thrask watched in horror as his perfect fleet died around him. This was impossible. Humans were primitive. Their technology was inferior. They should not have weapons like this. They should not have known the attack was coming. They should not have been ready. Admiral Fletcher sat in the command center beneath Geneva and watched the alien fleet burn. Around him, tactical displays showed the battle from 1,000 different angles. Every human weapon was firing. Every shot was hitting. The aliens had sailed right into the killing zone. "All units report full engagement," his operations officer said. "Enemy fleet integrity down to 60% and falling. Keep the pressure on," Fletcher ordered. "Do not give them time to reorganize. Concentrate fire on their command ships. Kill their coordination and the rest will fall apart." On the moon, fighter squadrons launched from hidden hangars. They swarmed toward the alien fleet like angry insects. Each fighter was small, fast, and heavily armed. The aliens had never seen anything like them. Their point defense systems could not track so many small targets moving so fast. Throughout the system, hidden human forces revealed themselves. Battleships dropped their camouflage. Weapons platforms activated. Asteroid bases began firing. Humanity had turned its entire home system into a fortress, and the aliens had walked right into the middle of it. Thrask tried to establish communications with his scattered fleet. "All ships, retreat Vector 7. Emergency jump to Rally Point Alpha." But human jamming systems were already disrupting their communications. Half his ships never received the order. Those that did found human fighters blocking their escape routes. There was no retreat, no escape. Only survival. The trap had been sprung perfectly, and now the real slaughter was about to begin. 14 hours into the battle, Amy Rodriguez stopped counting how many alien ships she had destroyed. Her fighter twisted through debris fields that used to be enemy cruisers. Her neural link fed targeting data directly into her brain. She thought about firing and her weapons obeyed. Another alien escort died in a flash of light. She did not celebrate. There were too many targets left. Her squadron followed her through the wreckage, 20 fighters moving as one. They had trained for this, prepared for years. Now all that training was being tested in the fire of real combat. "Break left," her wing commander called. A cluster of alien missiles was tracking them. Rodriguez pulled hard, her ship responding instantly. The missiles tried to follow, but human countermeasures confused their guidance systems. They detonated harmlessly against asteroid fragments. Clear, Rodriguez reported. Proceeding to next target zone. Her tactical display showed the overall battle. What had been an organized alien fleet was now scattered wreckage and desperate survivors. Human forces pressed them from every direction. Railguns fired from hidden positions across the system. Plasma weapons carved through shields. Drone swarms overwhelmed point defenses. All fighters, we have boarding operations authorized on alien command ships, the Fleet Coordination Channel announced. Captain Okonkwo's teams are deploying now. Provide escort and cover fire. Rodriguez banked toward Mars orbit, where several large alien ships were trying to organize a defensive position. They were damaged but still dangerous. Their shields flickered as they tried to maintain power. Perfect targets for what came next. Small assault craft launched from human carriers. Each one carried 12 soldiers in black armor. Okonkwo's special operations teams. Rodriguez had seen them train. They moved like nothing human should be able to move. The augmentation had changed them into something between soldier and machine. Fast, strong, deadly. Escort wing, stay close to the assault craft. Rodriguez ordered her squadron. Anything that looks at them wrong, you burn it. They accelerated toward the alien ships. Enemy point defense opened fire, but Rodriguez and her pilots were faster. They wove between the shots, drawing fire away from the assault craft. One fighter took a hit and spun away, trailing debris, but the pilot ejected. The rest kept flying. The assault craft reached the first alien ship and attached to its hull like parasites. Breaching charges detonated. Holes appeared in the armored skin. The soldiers went inside. Inside the alien command ship, Captain Okonkwo moved through corridors built for beings twice his size. His armor sensors showed enemy positions through the walls. His neural link shared data with his entire team. They did not speak. They did not need to. Everyone knew their role. Contact ahead, his display showed. 12 alien soldiers rushing toward them with weapons raised. Okonkwo raised his arm and the weapon built into his armor fired. The shot was silent. Deadly. Half the aliens fell before they knew what hit them. His team moved past them without stopping. They had orders to reach the bridge. Capture the commander if possible. Get intelligence on the alien fleet disposition. Every piece of information would help humanity understand who they were really fighting. An alien warrior jumped from a side passage swinging a massive blade. Okonkwo caught it on his armored forearm. The blade should have cut through metal. Instead, it sparked and broke. His other hand snapped forward and struck the alien in its center mass. The impact sent it flying backward. Bridge ahead, his second-in-command reported. Heavy resistance. They know we are coming. Then we go in fast, Okonkwo said. Breaching pattern delta. 3 seconds. His team stacked up on either side of the sealed bridge door. Someone attached charges while others covered the corridor. When everything was ready, Okonkwo counted down with his fingers. 3, 2, 1. The door exploded inward. Okonkwo was through it before the smoke cleared. His sensors identified targets automatically, friend or foe, threat or non-combatant. His weapons knew the difference. The bridge crew tried to fight, but they were not soldiers. They were officers and technicians. Within seconds, the fighting was over. Alien bodies lay where they had fallen. A few survivors raised their hands in surrender. Bridge secured, Okonkwo reported. Prisoner count 6. Target acquired. High Commander Thrask sat in the command chair, bleeding from multiple wounds. His shields had failed hours ago. His flagship was crippled. His fleet was destroyed. Now humans stood on his bridge pointing weapons at him. You knew, Thrask said. His translator was damaged but still working. You knew we were coming. We knew, Okonkwo confirmed. He moved closer, weapon never wavering. We have known for months. You talked. We listened. You planned. We prepared. You came to destroy us. We chose to survive. Thrask looked around at his dead crew. This was supposed to be easy. You were supposed to be weak. We let you think that, Okonkwo said. Every spy you sent to watch us saw exactly what we wanted them to see. Every intelligence report confirmed what you already believed. You saw us as children. That was your mistake. Throughout the solar system, the battle was ending. Alien ships that could still move were trying to escape. Human forces let some of them go. Others were being boarded like Thrask's flagship. The ones that kept fighting were being destroyed without mercy. Admiral Fletcher watched casualty reports come in. 3,200 humans dead, 47 ships lost, dozens of stations damaged. It hurt, every death hurt, but they had survived. Against 800 alien warships, humanity had survived. Sir, enemy fleet coherency is at 15%, his operations officer reported. Remaining vessels are retreating. Recommend we allow them to leave the system, Fletcher considered. They could pursue. They could destroy every alien ship, turn this from a victory into a complete annihilation. But that was not the plan. Let them go, he ordered. But make sure our fighters escort them to the edge of the system. I want them to see our forces the entire way out. I want them to count our ships. I want them to report back exactly how strong we are. What about prisoners? Treat them well. Medical care. Food. Respect. Show them we are not monsters. Fletcher stood up from his command chair. His back ached. He had been sitting there for 14 hours. We won this battle. Now we need to win the peace that comes after. On Concordia Prime, Counselor Vessa watched the battle reports come in with growing horror. The combined fleet was gone. 800 ships reduced to scattered survivors. Over 100,000 dead. And humanity had barely taken damage in comparison. She had tried to stop this. She had warned them. Now she had to find a way to prevent what came next. Because if humanity decided to retaliate, decided to carry the war to the alien homeworlds, there was nothing that could stop them. The balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted. And nobody was ready for what that meant. Pain woke Thrask. He opened his eyes and saw a white ceiling that glowed with soft light. Medical equipment hummed around him. His wounds had been treated. Bandages covered his scales. An IV line ran into his arm delivering medication. This made no sense. He should be dead. His ship had been captured. His crew had been killed or taken prisoner. Humans had boarded his bridge. He remembered their weapons pointing at him. He remembered falling as blood loss took him. Now he was alive, healed, comfortable. You are awake, a voice said. Director Olivia Grant entered the room. She wore a simple uniform with no weapons visible. A translator device on her collar converted her words into his language. How do you feel? Thrask tried to sit up, but pain stopped him. Why am I alive? Because we are not executioners, Grant said. She pulled up a chair and sat down beside his bed. You are a prisoner of war. Under human conventions, that means you are entitled to medical care and humane treatment. We came to destroy you. Yes, you did. And you failed. Grant pulled out a data pad and showed him reports. Casualty figures. Ship losses. The complete destruction of the Coalition fleet. Your people lost 412 ships. 180,000 dead. 200,000 captured. The largest military defeat in recorded galactic history. Thrask looked at the numbers and felt something break inside him. His fleet, his people gone. Why did you not kill us all? He asked quietly. Because that is not who we are, Grant said. She put the datapad away. We fought to defend ourselves. Not to commit genocide. There is a difference. I do not understand. We are your enemies. You were our attackers. Past tense. Now you are prisoners. There is a difference there too. Grant stood and walked to the window. Outside, Earth hung in space, blue and beautiful. We knew you were coming. For months we knew. We could have struck first. Attacked your homeworlds before you ever reached here. Killed billions of your people while they slept. Thrask felt cold despite the warm room. Why did you not? Because that would make us the monsters you feared we would become. Grant turned back to face him. You were afraid of what humanity might do if we kept expanding. So you decided to destroy us. But in trying to prevent something that might happen, you guaranteed it would happen. You made us fight. You made us show our strength. Now the entire galaxy knows what we are capable of. You will conquer us all now, Thrask said. It was not a question. It was the logical conclusion. Humanity had the power. They would use it. No, Grant said. We will not. Because conquest is not our goal. Survival is, peace is. We want to live among you, not rule over you. I do not believe you. Then watch. Grant activated a holographic display. It showed Admiral Fletcher standing in front of captured alien officers. Hundreds of them. Representatives from all 11 species that had attacked Earth. This was broadcast across your communication networks 2 hours ago. Fletcher's voice filled the room. You came to our home to destroy us. You believed we were weak. You believed we would fall easily. You were wrong. We have defeated you utterly. Your fleets are gone. Your soldiers are captured. Your plan has failed. Thrask waited for the threats, the demands, the terms of complete surrender. But we are not your enemy, Fletcher continued. You made yourselves our enemy through your choices. We would have preferred peace. We would have preferred cooperation. You chose violence. We responded with overwhelming force because that was the only language you would understand. The display showed captured alien ships, damaged but intact. Your vessels are being repaired. Your wounded are being treated. Your dead are being prepared for return to your homeworlds according to your own customs. We do this not because you deserve it, but because it is right. Thrask felt confusion replace his fear. This was not how conquerors acted. This was not how victors treated the defeated. We knew about your attack for 8 months, Fletcher said. We could have destroyed you at any time. We chose to defend rather than attack. We chose to show mercy to those who surrendered. We chose to treat prisoners with respect. We did these things because this is who we are. This is what humanity means. The hologram changed to show representatives from the 3 species that had abstained from the vote. Vesa was among them. Some of you chose not to attack us. To those species we offer friendship and alliance. To those who attacked us we offer a choice. Peace or more war. Cooperation or continued conflict. The decision is yours. We are broadcasting our terms across known space, Fletcher continued. They are simple. Withdraw all forces from areas bordering human space. Pay reparations for the damage caused. Sign a non-aggression treaty. In exchange, we will share technology. We will open trade. We will help rebuild what was destroyed. We will treat you as neighbors, not subjects. The hologram showed Earth's defense fleet. Hundreds of ships. Weapons platforms. All the hidden strength that had destroyed the coalition. But understand this clearly. We have shown you we can defend ourselves. Do not make us show you what we can do if we choose to attack. We would prefer peace. We are prepared for war. The choice is yours. The transmission ended. Thrask lay in silence, trying to process what he had heard. You really mean it? You will let us go. Eventually, Grant said. After you heal. After we exchange information about your fleet and our defenses. After proper treaties are signed. But yes, you will go home. You will tell your people what happened here. You will help them understand that humanity is not their enemy unless they choose to make us one. They will not believe me. They will believe the 6,000 other prisoners who will tell the same story. Grant moved toward the door. Rest, heal, think about what you have learned. When you are ready, we will talk again. About the future. About what the galaxy could be if we worked together instead of fighting. She left him alone. Thrask lay in the comfortable bed in the clean room, receiving medical care from the species he had tried to exterminate. Nothing made sense anymore. Everything he had believed about humans was wrong. On Concordia Prime, emergency council sessions ran continuously. Panic filled the halls. 9 of the 11 attacking species were demanding immediate peace negotiations. The other 2 were trying to prepare defenses in case humanity retaliated. Councillor Vesa called for order and eventually got it. We must respond to humanity's offer, she said. We must accept their terms. We attacked them. They defeated us. Now they offer peace. We would be fools to refuse. Ambassador Reland sat in disgrace at the back of the chamber. He had been stripped of authority. He would face trial for leading the coalition into disaster. But even he had to admit the truth. They are stronger than we imagined, he said quietly, and more merciful than we deserved. 6 months after the battle, Director Olivia Grant walked through halls that had been built to accommodate 100 different species. Concordia Prime had never seen a human ambassador before. Now the station prepared for an entire diplomatic mission. Workers rushed to install translation equipment. Security protocols were being rewritten. Everything was changing. Grant wore formal diplomatic attire but kept it simple. She had learned that humans made other species nervous when they appeared too militaristic. Better to look like what they were now, ambassadors of peace rather than warriors of war. Councillor Vesa met her at the entrance to the main chambers. The aquatic alien's colors shifted through patterns that Grant's briefing material said indicated respect and welcome. Ambassador Grant, it is an honor to finally meet you properly. The honor is mine, Councillor. Thank you for supporting the peace negotiations from the beginning. I only did what was logical. Fighting you further would have been suicide. Vesa gestured toward the main chamber. The Council awaits. 9 species are prepared to sign the peace accord. 2 still refuse. Then we will work with the 9 who are ready, Grant said. The other 2 will come around eventually. Fear makes people do foolish things. Time and evidence will cure that fear. They entered the chamber together. Representatives from dozens of species filled the seats. Most had not participated in the attack. They were here to witness history, to see what happened when humanity took its place among the galactic community. Grant took her position at the speaker's platform. She could feel the eyes of the entire galaxy on her. This moment would define humanity's relationship with everyone else for generations to come. She had to get it right. 6 months ago, 11 species decided humanity was a threat that needed to be eliminated. She began. No translator was necessary. Every being here had learned to understand human languages after the battle. They sent 800 ships to destroy us. They believed we were weak. They were wrong. Silence filled the chamber. Everyone knew what came next. The reminder of human military power. The threat of what would happen if anyone tried again. Grant surprised them. But they were not wrong about everything. They were right to fear what humanity might become if we continued on our current path. We were expanding rapidly, taking territory without asking, ignoring established borders, acting like the galaxy belonged to us alone. Confusion rippled through the chamber. This was not what they expected. The attack forced us to look at ourselves clearly, Grant continued, to see what others saw when they looked at us. We were behaving like a threat, like conquerors, not because we intended to conquer, but because we did not understand we were supposed to ask first. She pulled up displays showing human colonies. We come from a world where we competed with each other for everything, where asking permission meant showing weakness, where taking initiative was rewarded. Those instincts served us well on Earth. They serve us poorly among you. So we are here to learn, to understand, to become proper members of the galactic community. Grant looked directly at the representatives from the attacking species. You tried to destroy us. We could have destroyed you in return. We chose mercy. We chose peace. We hope you will choose the same. Ambassador Ryland stood from his seat at the back. He had no authority anymore, but he could still speak. Why? Why show us mercy when we showed you none? Because mercy is strength, Grant said. Because peace is harder than war. Because the galaxy we want to build is one where problems are solved through cooperation, not violence. She pulled up new displays. These showed technical specifications, weapon designs, shield technology, things that had destroyed the alien fleet. We are prepared to share our military innovations with any species that signs the peace accord. Not so you can attack us. We are still stronger. But so you can defend yourselves. So you feel secure. Shock rippled through the chamber. Share technology? That was unprecedented. We will also share medical advances, Grant continued. Agricultural techniques. Power generation systems. Everything we have learned, we will teach. In exchange, we ask for the same. Share your knowledge with us. Help us understand your cultures. Teach us your histories. Let us learn from you as you learn from us. Counselor Vessa stepped forward. The Aquatic Federation formally accepts these terms. We sign the peace accord. We welcome humanity as partners and allies. One by one, representatives stood. The 9 species that had attacked Earth and survived came forward to sign. Their military leaders had been replaced. Their governments had changed, but they understood reality now. Peace with humanity was better than war. Grant watched them sign and felt something release in her chest. The weight of carrying her species' survival, the burden of making sure the sacrifices had meant something. It was not gone completely. It never would be. But it was lighter now. Admiral Fletcher arrived on Concordia Prime 2 weeks later. He came not as a conqueror, but as a teacher. With him came military officers from Earth, ready to train alien forces in new tactics, ready to learn alien techniques in return. Thrask met him in a conference room that had been converted into a training center. The alien commander had recovered from his wounds. He walked with a slight limp now, but his mind was sharp. His species had asked him to serve as liaison with humanity, to help others understand what they had learned the hard way. Admiral, Thrask said, I never expected to see you again except as an enemy. Then we both get to be surprised, Fletcher replied. He pulled out data pads containing training materials. Your people asked for help modernizing their fleet. We are here to provide it. Why help us? We tried to kill you. You did. But that was then. This is now. We would rather have you as friends than enemies. Besides, there is value in teaching others. It forces us to examine what we know, to question our assumptions, to improve ourselves. They began working through tactical scenarios together. Human officers and alien commanders learning from each other, finding common ground, building trust through shared purpose. Dr. Yuki Tanaka established a joint research facility on a neutral station. Scientists from 30 species applied to work there. They studied human adaptability, alien longevity, shared medical challenges, different approaches to physics and engineering. Knowledge flowed in all directions. Young humans and aliens trained together at new academies. They learned each other's languages, shared meals that accommodated different biologies, competed in sports that worked across species. They were building something that had never existed before. True galactic community. On Earth, a memorial was built for those who died in the battle. It listed human names and alien names side by side. Enemies in life, equal in death. Remembered together. Grant visited it late one night when few others were around. She read the names and thought about the cost of survival. 3,200 humans, 180,000 aliens, so many lives lost because fear had won over reason. "We will do better," she said quietly to the memorial. "We will make sure this never happens again." Footsteps approached. Thrask walked up beside her. He had come to Earth as part of a diplomatic exchange, learning human culture, teaching his own. "They tried to destroy your world," he said, looking at the names. "You put their names on your memorial anyway. They were soldiers following orders, just like our people. They deserve to be remembered." Grant turned to face him. "You helped lead the attack, yet here you are working with us to build peace. If you can change, anyone can. I had no choice. You showed me what you were through your actions. You could have treated us like animals. Instead, you treated us like people. That changes things." They stood together in silence, human and alien, former enemies now working toward the same goal. Above them, the stars shone bright. Ships moved between them carrying not weapons but people, trade goods, ideas, hope. The galaxy had tried to destroy humanity. Humanity had survived. Now humanity was teaching the galaxy something new. That strength without mercy was tyranny. That power without wisdom was destruction. That the future belonged to those who could turn enemies into friends. 6 months ago, the galaxy had changed forever. In the ruins of the failed attack, something better was being built. Something that would last. And humanity stood at the center of it, not as conquerors, but as the bridge between what was and what could be.